Howdy ho, you handsome hunk. Grab a snack and gain some chunk. If your day is great or really sunk, we hope to help you shake the funk. So if you're good to hear some junk, buckle up, it's the Junk Monk Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Junk Monk Podcast. I'm your host Kandyce Sloan, who you know from Instagram at Hardens and Hardhats.
And I'm Noah, your co-host, who could not wait before eating until junk time.
If this is your first time listening, let us fill you in. We are watching and reviewing every episode of the USA hit TV show Monk right here each week.
And we're going to do so while eating a little bit of junk. So me and Kandyce have got our, it's not even junk food today, just food.
Yeah, well, Noah is so fat. Mm-hmm. And he already dug in, and my feelings are hurt. But it's okay. If you saw a couple weeks ago, we were posting on Instagram about our junk that we were making for right now, which is BLTs. Mm-hmm. So did you put tomatoes on yours? You didn't, did you?
No,
I didn't put tomatoes on mine either.
Square tomato.
I know we're dumb. Well, I don't like tomato, so
dumb.
I wasn't gonna put it on there anyway. But Noah just straight up forgot. So he actually has like a BLT, a BL. So I don't eat tomatoes, so I put avocado on mine, and then so now you have avocado on yours too because I made the avocado.
You tricked me.
So we basically have BL.
Oh, and
BLAs.
mayo.
Yes. Oh well, we'll talk about that in junk time though. Also, you must know I've seen every episode of Monk. I'm a huge fan. Started watching in 2007, and for the most part, watched it as it aired.
I've seen season 1 and 2 and those we've done on the show, and a few scattered here and there in different seasons.
So, if you're ready to start the show, Toby, take it away.
Here's what happened.
I'm gonna eat mine.
Okay. I'm gonna eat mine too.
Alright, this is Mr. Monk on Wheels, Season 7, Episode 11. So here's what happened. In the opening scene, we see Natalie and Mr. Monk witness a young man crash on his bicycle. Natalie goes over and helps him on his way, just as the bike's real owner, Dr. Dean Barry, exclaims for Natalie to stop the thief. Riddled with guilt that she assisted in his bike's disappearance, she vows to get it back. As she drags Mr. Monk along to help, they are able to find the thief fairly quickly at his home. They see John Kuramoto through the window, and as they continue knocking, shots ring out, firing through the front of the house, one bullet hitting Mr. Monk in the leg. Thankfully, Mr. Monk is okay, but now even more riddled with guilt, Natalie must push her mopey boss around town to help solve his now attempted murder. The suspicion is mainly on Dr. Barry, as he is the one with a bike valuable enough to be shot for. But when the bike is eventually found in a city dumpster, Monk realizes what was missing. It was the bike lock, a special lock that had an 8-digit keypad, similar to the cabinet that stored the doctor's latest invention. It's also revealed that his assistant, Sarah Longson, is the one that gave him that bike lock. She apparently hired Kuramoto to steal the bike so that she could retrieve the 8-digit code that she knew her boss would use for both keypads. She planned to steal his idea and sell it to the highest bidder. Luckily, Monk figures her out before she heads off to China, although Natalie is the one who apprehends her, then accidentally shoots Mr. Monk in his other leg. Well, at least they're even.
Woo!
Alright, that was Mr. Monk on Wheels.
Kandyce, what did you like about this episode?
Alright.
Energetic.
Okay, we already kind of talked about this, so I'll just go ahead and say it. So we were talking about it with Tobette, and she was saying, like, she saw part of the episode, and she was like, oh, yeah, I totally, because she didn't even see the end, and so she was like, was it the assistant? Was it that girl? She was super sketchy, and we're like, it was the assistant, and I was like, I did not think it was the assistant. Yeah. I thought it was the doctor.
Me neither.
Did you think it was the doctor?
You thought it was the doctor himself?
Yeah. Like, I thought he did something sketch enough that he got his bike stolen. I didn't know. You know,
I thought,
like, he had drugs, like they said. He had something in the bike that was valuable, so that got stolen. Or he stole his own bike or something. I thought he was guilty.
Really?
Yeah. Who did you think was
I thought it was, you know how they just don't give you clues sometimes? It's like, actually, it was the guy who you saw for 2 frames in the first intro.
Okay. So you just thought it was going to be somebody random, not even... Oh, okay, yeah.
Some guy that they didn't tell us about.
Gotcha. But I put that I liked that. It's in my like section, obviously, because I didn't remember it at all. And I loved it. I was like, I don't have any clue what is going on. Yeah. I do remember the bike thing. I do remember Natalie helping the guy steal the bike, but couldn't remember whose bike it was or anything. I remember the first scene, but then not anything after that. So I was pleasantly surprised with how much I was surprised by. So
it was good.
Yeah.
You sometimes put that as a dislike, Candace.
What? That I'm surprised? That I don't
Yeah.
know? Oh.
You're like, this episode was so forgettable, I didn't even remember any of it when I watched it. And you're like, it was so good, I forgot the entire thing.
That is so true. That is so true. I'm totally being called out. That is so true. But I think it's because I liked this one. That's what I'm saying. I was pleasantly surprised by all the things I had forgotten. Whereas the other ones that are not that memorable, I'm like, yeah, there's a reason I didn't remember this. I don't know why I didn't remember this one.
This one was good. This was a good episode.
Okay. I'm glad. Okay, I'm excited. Okay.
My first like is the square tomato.
Yep.
Monk is like, is that a square tomato? You're doing the Lord's work. And then Natalie says, literally.
Everyone always quotes the square tomato thing on all the Monkers and everything.
So funny.
You know what the main line is?
What?
That he can taste.
Oh, I can taste the symmetry?
Yes, he tastes symmetry. But, so I remembered that line. I did not remember when he said, this is going to virtually eliminate indigestion. What? How does that make any sense? Like, to me, that made zero sense. He was like, there's all, like, what did he say? Like, oh, there's all 90-degree angles or something. It's going to virtually eliminate indigestion. And I'm thinking, like, let's think. If we swallowed something that was circular or something that was squared, which one would go down more easily? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. But yes, the square tomato is a classic, I think. Okay, I put Monk is shot.
Oh no.
3 exclamation marks.
So scary. I'm so scared.
Okay, for one, I was watching this with Toby. We both were so surprised. Because that scene was actually, like, so good. They walk up to the guy's house. He's like, oh, here's the bolt cutters. And Monk's like, oh, those are nice. And then, I couldn't tell if he was being facetious or if he was being serious, but it was a good line. And then so then they look through, like, the window. They see him sitting there, and, like, he's just playing video games. Like, he just looks like he's just playing video games, like, whatever. And you're just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, keep knocking. He's like, he's not gonna come to the door. And then all of a sudden, pop, 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 pop. And you're like, what the heck? And then boom, Monk shot in the leg. And you're like, we were, like, screaming, like, oh,
yeah,
oh my god. And then she's like, help, help, help. That was such a good scene.
They do that in anime whenever they're just like, because in traditional stuff, they never kill the main character. But in anime, they're just not afraid to just, like, kill off a character.
Yeah.
Like, 5 episodes into this one anime I was watching, he just gets his legs chopped off. Oh. And it's just, like, that's, like, and it's like, why?
Yeah. There's a show like that. Oh, God. What is that show?
It has no...
Oh, you don't watch the show, but Downton Abbey?
No.
They would not care. Like, you were watching the Downton Abbey, and you're like, oh, this is a good show. Main character dead. And you're like, what the... And you know, it's like the British show.
Yeah,
it's not like... I feel like Scandal's kind of like that, where they're not scared to kill off main characters because they have to keep it, like, interesting or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, Downton Abbey was one of those where it's just, like, totally out of left field, and you're like, what? And then they're, like, depressed for the next 4 episodes, and you're like, yeah, we're all depressed. It's so weird. It's so crazy when shows go there.
That was scary. Whenever he just got shot. And then when Tibet, she walked in after, and she was like, how did he get injured? I was like, he got shot. And she was like, what? He got shot?
Yeah.
And then I explained the entire episode to her.
It was a good one. It's worth explaining.
It was so good.
Okay. This is funny because I put Monkey shot. I wasn't even talking about that scene. I was talking about the next scene where he has his leg up on the thing, and then it, like, pans in, and he's like, "Oh, my legs aren't even." Oh. And then the doctor comes in, and she's like, "Oh, you're a very lucky man." And he's like, "Really? I'm lucky?" And she's like, "Yeah, if a couple inches over would have hit your what is it called, femoral artery or something like that?"
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, "You know who I think is lucky? All the people in this room who are unshot." The unshot people in the room.
He's like, the great unshot.
The lead-free.
The lead-free.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. That begins Monk's whininess.
My next, like, is after Natalie gets the bike stolen. Or not gets it stolen. You know what I'm trying to say.
helps the guy steal it.
They walk into the, like, company's place thing. What are they called? Veg
Tech?
Veg Tech or something. That was so funny.
Yeah.
That's such a funny name,
Yeah.
Veg Tech. Well, she walks in, and then she called the captain, because she was like, it's an emergency, blah, blah, blah. And he walks in, and he's like, you said it was an emergency. And she said, someone stole his bike, and rode away, and didn't come back.
Didn't come back. And he's like, oh, okay. All right, I see. Well, we'll get the bike squad on it. And she's like, the bike squad? I didn't even know you had a bike squad. And he's like, yeah, we have about 800 agents. We'll just get them up there in the helicopters. We'll fan them out. And she's like, super embarrassed. It was so sad. Oh, God. It's so funny. I like that one. That was a good Stottlemyre to get. I like that one. And it wasn't against Randy. It was against Natalie. I didn't even know y'all had a bike squad. Nope. Okay. The interrogation. Okay, so this reminded me of the Snoop Dogg interrogation where the criminal is just real smart and real funny. And it's the guy's cousin.
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
Right? Vince, right?
Vince.
Yeah. It's Vince, and they're giving him good cop, dumb cop like they always do. Randy's doing pretty good. He's grilling him. He's grilling him. And he's like, come on, man, you're telling me you don't know where your cousin is? You're living with him, man. And he's like, do you know where all your cousins are? I was like, it was dumb, but it was a good one at the same time. And Randy's like, no. Like, it was funny. And then he's like, Stottlemyre's like, okay, well, get into him. And Randy's like, yep, that makes your cousin a former cop shooter. He's like, what? Former cop shooter. You mean he used to shoot cops? He's like, no, he shot someone who used to be a cop. Well, why didn't you just say that? I did say that. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. It's the same thing. It's definitely not the same thing. Stottlemyre's like, shut up. Are y'all married or something? It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Your cousin's a former cop shooter.
And then, no, Stotty comes over the burn after. He's like,
yes.
You're gonna be, like, in prison your whole life or something like that. He says, your parole officer hasn't even been born yet.
Yeah, that got him. I think I jotted that down, too. That was good.
That was so good. He grilled him.
That was so good. That's what I'm saying. It was like good cop, dumb cop, but Randy did pretty good until he said the former cop shooter. It was so funny. And then Stottlemyre comes with the cleanup. So it was a really good interrogation. I liked it.
Natalie, after Monk got shot, she's like, oh my gosh, Mr. Monk, I feel so bad. And Monk's like, good.
I think this is before he gets shot, because Natalie wants him so badly to help with this stolen bike case. And he's like, I have a little bit more dignity than that. What do you say? I'm not completely on empty in the dignity department or something like that. And then she's like, I have done so many stupid things for you on all these cases, like you owe me. And he's like, it's your job. I pay you semi-regularly. And then she's like, no, I have all the chips. I have so many chips. I am cashing in the chips. And then it cuts to them in the station. And some random detective walks up from behind, and he's like, oh, hey, Monk, you working on that triple homicide? And he's like, nope, not exactly. And Natalie's like, it's a stolen bike case. And Monk's like embarrassed, and he's like smiling. He's like, I mean, Natalie, she had chips. I don't know. It was so cute that he was embarrassed. I thought it was cute.
You know what, since we're on karma chips, Monk, after they get home and Monk just got shot, everyone's distraught, and she's like, do you want a BLT? What do you want? And he's like, you know what I am in the mood for? Chips. Karma chips.
No. She's so happy. She's like, oh, chips? Okay. And she goes, skips, and he's like, karma chips. And her shoulders just drop, and she's like, and he's like, tastes so good. With guacamole. Oh my gosh, that's so freaking good. Whiny Monk. I know a lot of people aren't gonna like this one, but I put Whiny Monk. I like Whiny Monk in this episode.
Really?
He's already whiny, Like in general, he want like give me a wipe. Natalie, I don't want to. Blah, blah, blah. But if he had any reason in any other episode to whine, it's this one. You know what I mean? Where other times he's like a little bit whiny, and it's like you kind of look past it because it's not like overwhelmingly so.
Yeah.
Or like maybe he's like petty against Harold Crenshaw, and you're like, Monk, come on, like you're better than this. Get over it. Like this one, he got shot. So
yeah.
Obviously, we'll go into it a little bit more about his behavior, but just in general, his whininess just brings so much comedy to it that it's hilarious. So
yeah, that's true. Natalie trying to comfort Monk in the hospital. She's like, I've never seen the captain so mad. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, that's true. And then she's like, touches him on the knee. I'm like, Natalie, come on. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she's like pushing him. When she pushes him with the wheelchair and she pushes him into the thing, and he's like, she's like, okay, where do you want to go? And he's like, how about over there by that wall? And she's like, okay. And he's like, I plan on staring at it for a couple of weeks. And she's like, nope, we're not going that way. She like runs him into the wall. It's so funny. It's so funny because she's trying to be so cheery, but she like keeps being clumsy and bumping him into stuff and stuff. So it's a very funny tag team between. It's kind of Natalie's fault, but also not Natalie's fault. Monk is super whiny, but she's also being super clumsy with him. Yeah. And they're just like being a tag team of like nonsense. It's pretty funny. So. Yeah. Of course, we have the gold basket theory.
That was so funny.
Okay, it wasn't. I put not the worst idea, but pretty bad. Because obviously, like
not the worst. That is a terrible idea.
No, but it's not. But it's not the worst.
What is the worst?
Okay, we'll have to talk about it one day. One that pops into my mind is the pod. That the astronaut went into the pod, and then he was flying around the Earth, and he dropped down, killed the girl, and then got sucked back up into the pod, and then kept. That's the one that pops into my mind.
Oh, it's so bad.
So it drops down into my mind, and then shoots back up and orbits around the Earth. Okay, so gold basket theory, not the worst idea, but it's pretty bad. And then whenever they find it, I thought this was really cute though. Whenever Randy's with the garbage guy, and Randy's been like doing work, like they've been doing detective work together, and Stottlemyre shows up, and Randy's kind of catching him up, and they're like, "So we found the bike," and Stottlemyre's like, "Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and ask, Lieutenant, was it a golden basket?" And Randy's like, "No, it's just a basic basket." Like he's treating him like he's stupid for his own theory. It's so funny.
This is my last like actually.
Okay.
Stotty Monk pep talk.
Yes. Oh, I have this one. Like, this was a big one. Yeah.
You're that close to. And he's like squeezing his little fingies. He's like, you're that close to losing that girl. And he's like, ask me how I know. And he's like, how do you know? Because you're acting like me. Oh.
Yes. I put Stotty with the best advice ever. I absolutely loved this scene. Well, obviously, this is a general Stottlemyre characteristic, but he does not take crap from Monk. And in this scene, he says what everyone else is thinking. Like, he's saying, yes, I'm sorry that you got shot. I'm sorry that happened to you. I know it sucks, but you can't treat Natalie like that. It's not her fault that she did not shoot you. You are more angry at Natalie than the man that shot you, who's sitting right there in that grave. He just kept coming with the just amazing, amazing advice. I loved it. And of course he said, you're acting like me. And that was just dang good. That was an excellent scene.
Yep.
All right. So this is my last one, which I kind of just mentioned him, but the garbage man. He was a weirdo, but I liked him. Like, he fed into the whole, like what I was saying, like, Randy was actually doing some detective work. Like, they were like, okay, so he dumped the bike in here, but obviously the bike wasn't what they wanted because they dumped the bike, so it has to be something else. And then the garbage man is like, yep, me and the lieutenant, we're totally stymied. Like, he's in on it too. And then the bell, and he's just like, bring, 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 bring. He's like, hey, I found the bell. Bring, 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 bring. He's like, can stop that. He's like, bring, bring. It was sad, but I liked it. I love the trades that are like excited about their jobs and they do their jobs well. Yeah. Like the postal guy or the paper boy. And those are just the characters that kind of stand out like, oh, they're a great side character. They're cute. I like them. So
yeah, he was a little over enthusiastic for me, but it was cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready for dislikes?
Yes.
Okay. Candyce, what did you dislike about this episode?
Okay, my first thing is poor Natalie. She was just trying to be a good Samaritan. Mm-hmm. It's so sad. The guy's like all frantic, like, yeah, I guess I must have just hit that pothole. And she's like, oh yeah, you better be careful. And she's like, oh, are these yours? Are these your bolt cutters? And he's like, yeah, I just came from work. And she's like, oh, well, they're nice. And then she like picks him up and puts him, and then he's like, oh no, the bike chain. And she's like, oh, it's super easy. You just boop, boop, boop. There you go. Clips it back on. All right, we'll be safe. So sad. And then, of course, later, whenever they cut to the veg tech or whatever, and they're watching it, and they're watching the video, and she's like, they're watching it, and Monk's like, yep, see, that's where she didn't listen to me. And then Randy's watching, he's like, oh, what'd you say to him right there? And she's like, nice bolt cutters. That's so sad. She's just trying to be a good person. It's so sad. I feel like she always just gets the brunt end of trying to be a good person. It's funny.
The entire annoying scene where Monk gets out of that car and no one's home.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that so much.
Toby was like, this scene is still going on?
It was the worst. I was just like, that was probably the worst thing of this episode. One of the only bad things.
I put nobody's home. OMG. Also, I did not see that coming.
I know.
I did not see that coming. I was like, okay, the scene, okay. They're getting him in the wheelchair. Okay. They're pulling him up. I'm like, guess nobody's home.
I know.
Crap.
Good. It was like a minute to get him out of the car, a minute to get the wheelchair working, a minute to get Monk in the wheelchair, and then a minute to get him up the stairs. It was so long.
Yeah. And then nobody was home. Yeah, I agree. Okay, I put the bad CGI. Did you catch the CGI?
Whenever he fell down the stairs, that was my bad CGI moment.
Oh, really?
Or whenever the ladies tackled each other.
No, that's not CGI. That's
really?
That's stunt doubles.
The stunt doubles are bad. That's what I meant.
No, this was when the guy's sprouting his little seed.
I wasn't that bad.
And the seed grows in like 2 seconds, and it's like growing, and then the thing comes out. I was like, oh, that's fake.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't that bad. I actually.
Would you want Monk to really get shot and thrown down the stairs?
I actually didn't think of that.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It wasn't that bad in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I definitely know what you're talking about, but I just don't know. That doesn't seem that bad to me. Monk can't do anything himself. Whenever the dude fell off his bike, which, to be fair, he just stole a bike. But if he was just a regular bike that he fell off, Monk was like, he's fine. Help me instead. Like, no.
And he had only stepped on a snail, and he's like, God, Natalie, what are you doing? No, mind your own business. Mind your own business. I command you, come back here.
I did not catch that.
I command you. It's so funny. And she's like, yeah, who cares? Oh, that's so funny. Okay, this one's super random, but I could have used some Julie pushing Monk around in that wheelchair. I think that would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
Like if they had... Natalie needed to take a little break, so Julie's like pushing him around in the car or something, and then like she doesn't take his crap or something. Like that would have been funny. Mr. Monk, no. And we're not doing that. No, Mr. Monk. Like that would have been cute.
My last and final dislike is I hate to admit it, but Natalie shoots Monk, and I did not like it. It was a bad thing that happened. How could you, Natalie? Yeah. After everything I did supporting you, you shoot Monk? That's literally like the worst thing you could have ever done.
Okay, this is interesting, and I'll go ahead and bring it up because I thought that this episode was going to go like you were going to take Team Natalie and I was going to take Team Monk. Like I thought I thought that you were going to be like, "Oh my gosh, Monk's whining was like incessant, like he was being such a baby, and Natalie, like it wasn't Natalie's fault and all that." Because you defend Natalie usually, and I usually defend Monk against Natalie. So I thought that's how it was gonna go. So I had like, I had my little bullet points for like,
oh no,
for if you brought it up at first, you're like, okay, Natalie made like, really silly mistake, but it wasn't her fault. She helped the guy steal a bike, not her fault. She feels really bad. Okay. Then she's the one that drags Mr. Monk to a bike case that he doesn't want to do. And then he gets shot. And so she feels really bad. And you're like, but still, like, it wasn't like Monk was doing anything. Like, it wasn't her fault he got shot.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing anything. So he might as well have looked for this stolen bike, whatever. And then she's pushing him around and you're like, okay, well, she should push him around. That's the assistant. That's her job, whatever. And then he's being so mean and so horrible to her. But then she keeps, like, bumping him around. She, like, lets him roll down a hill. He falls out of his chair and, like, all this crazy stuff. So it's like she has so much going against her. And then finally he has which is one of my dislikes, is that the whole scene where his wheelchair goes, like, rogue and he breaks off the handle and it's like,
yeah.
And she's like, it runs over her foot and you're like, oh no, poor Natalie, like, this was not her fault. And he's like, this is worse than the last death trap you bought me. I'm going from death trap to death trap. And he's like rolling over. And then the doctor, he comes, he's like, is she okay? Are you okay, Natalie? And she's like, is Mr. Monk okay? And you're like, oh, Natalie, that's so sad. And then he's like, Monk calms down and he's like, Natalie. And they have a really sweet moment where he gives her the wipe. And he's like, you need the wipe? And he's like, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to the captain, how he was telling me I was mistreating you. I just was really upset. And you're like, oh. And you're like, see, now Monk is admitting that he is upset. So now you're on Team Natalie. He gives her the chips. And you're like, oh, what a good resolution. Cut 30 seconds later. Natalie, I did it, Mr. Monk. Boom. Shoots him in the leg.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that was so bad.
Natalie. So you see how, like, it goes through and you're like, and this is also why I'm defending it, because I know you didn't come at me, but there are so many people, like, on the Monk groups, I see it constantly, especially when people talk about Natalie versus Sharona.
That they bring that up.
Like, how he mistreated her so badly. And again, rewatching the episode, I was like, yeah, but she does this. And she, it's kind of this tug of war between the two of them. That's why I think it's so good. It's kind of like the Get Slotto Fever, where they're both acting silly. Like, obviously, Monk is acting a little bit more like his behavior is kind of bad, like nonsensical. Like, Monk, calm down. But again, we're talking about Mr. Monk and the two of them tag teaming those, like, roller coaster of things that just keep happening to the both of them. They both just keep getting screwed over, and their relationship playing out I think it made for really good comedy. So I hope that I justified, like, Natalie and Monk's sides, equally. So I don't know. I think it was good. I think that the whiny Monk was funny. Desperate Natalie was funny. So
yeah. I'm done with dislikes.
All right, I do have one last thing. And this is me comparing Sharona and Natalie. I jotted it down. I don't like that Natalie took Monk's crap for so long. Like, she finally gives it to him whenever he starts rolling down the hill backwards.
Oh,
but, like, where she had to break down crying before she said anything. And he gave her an out. I know I watched this a second time because I was jotting down more notes. He gives her an out whenever he's like, Natalie, do you resent me? And she's like, no, Mr. Monk, why would you say that? And she's pushing up the hill. And he's like, no, it was just something the captain said, but I just don't think that he gets our relationship. And so again, he's treating her so poorly, but it's like, that's how he sees our relationship. And when he gave her that opening, if she wanted to change something about what was happening to her in that relationship, that was exactly the point where she could have done it. And she did it. And then 2 seconds later, she has a breakdown. So that was my last dislike. I'll leave Natalie alone. I think that she had a lot of crappy hands dealt to her, but she could have stood up for herself a little bit earlier. And I think that that's a good lesson for everyone. If you're getting treated like that, stand up for yourself. All right, let's move on to
He's the guy. Kandyce. I want to go first.
Okay, go.
Okay, Vince Kuramoto. I don't know how to say it very well, but Kuramoto. It sounds cool, right? Vince Kuramoto. Okay. Which is, the guy who stole the bike's cousin. Played by Sung Kang. Kang? I don't know. Sung Kang. And he plays Juan Lee. I don't know why I'm saying all these word's weird.
No, you're
the
saying
one time
you're saying it right.
I have. No, it's not Huang. It's Han. I'm just dumb. Okay, sorry. Han Louis in Fast and Furious. I immediately recognized him.
Okay, so this is the Vince. This is the cousin.
Yeah, the cousin who's being interrogated by.
Okay, yeah. I was watching this with Toby, and he caught that, and he popped up on the screen, and I was like, "Look it up, Toby. Look it up." And he was like, "He's from Fast and Furious."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he is from Fast and Furious." Still, look him up, because I have to write it down anyway, his name and everything. So he looked it up, and he was like, "Yep, he's in another episode of Monk." And I was like, I knew it. He's in Mr. Monk versus the Cobra. Where they go to the... You haven't seen it yet. No, but he goes to the dojo. Is it a dojo? I don't know what it is. Like a monastery dojo type thing. He's the assistant. He's like the sensei.
Aww.
Like the assistant to the sensei, whatever. That's an Office reference. But he's the assistant. He's Mr. Hong?
Huang. Whoa. His name is Han. And I said Huang.
Yeah.
But in this episode, he's Huang. And in Cobra, he's Huang.
Okay, so it's Mr. Huang.
Yeah,
is that right?
Mr. Huang.
Okay. Mr. Huang and the Cobra. So he's an assistant. Nice. Okay, so we had a one similar guy, but for different things.
Mine,
because I recognized him from Monk.
So. I do not think you have my next one.
Okay.
I actually didn't write out her name. Oh no!
My other ones aren't a girl, so I definitely don't have it.
It's the assistant lady.
No, you did not recognize her. Are you serious?
I did.
Okay.
I did not recognize her at first because she's in that whole first scene where she's like, where Natalie and Monk go into veg tech.
Is that not what it's called?
No, it is called veg tech. It's just super funny. So they go into veg tech and the assistant's there. His Huayman assistant who ended up being the mastermind of the entire thing.
Yeah.
I did not recognize her in the first scene.
Okay.
They show her the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize her whenever she's in the dark and you can only hear her voice.
Oh.
Because she's a voice actor.
No way.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That is cool. That's a good catch.
Yeah.
Let's look up who her name is.
She's from Teen Titans Go, Rick and Morty, and Bob's Burgers.
No way.
She's on, like, everything. Like, it's crazy. She's big. Not in everything, but, like, a lot of shows that I watch.
Pamela Adlon?
Mm-hmm.
What? That is so cool.
She even looks a little like I know her, but...
But you felt like, because you recognize her voice, that you've, like, seen her.
Yeah.
I saw her name on the thing. I didn't recognize her from anything, so... 209 credits. Wow.
All right.
This Is Us. There she is. Yep. Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty.
Phineas and Ferb. A lot of shows that I've seen.
Parenthood. I've seen all of that. A lot of King of the Hill.
Whoa.
258 episodes.
Oh my god. She looks like she's just a bunch of different voices on that.
She is. Bobby Hill. That's the son. That's the son.
Holy crap.
What?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Monk.
One episode.
Guys, she was on this episode. I recognize her
Rugrats.
From this episode.
Recess.
All grown up.
Oh, all grown up. I was like, that doesn't seem right. Scooby-Doo. She's totally a voice actress. How cool. Dexter's Laboratory.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
She's on Recess.
She is Spinelli. Holy crap. Hey, you've never watched the Recess, though, have you?
I know what it is. Yeah, I know what it is.
What? She's Spinelli.
Yeah.
Holy crap. My mind is blown. Guys, this is why you do He's the Guy. This is so cool.
She's big.
She is huge. This is crazy. The reason that I was saying, like, what? That girl's famous? Because I thought that the doctor was the guy because he's famous.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. And so that's, because they do that. They have a guest star who is obviously the killer because they're famous. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there's obviously exceptions to that. Like the detective, Marcy's not a killer and all that.
Yeah.
But I felt like someone like as sly as him, like looking like he would totally be the killer. Mm-hmm. So I thought that's interesting. They made the famous guy not the killer, and the girl who was the killer wasn't famous.
Yeah.
But she is.
But she's super famous. Yeah.
So I was wrong. So anyway, Dr. Dean Barry is played by Bradley Whitford. He's pretty famous. I think he's pretty famous. He was in an episode of In Plain Sight, Parks and Rec, Frasier, Malcolm in the Middle. But I recognized him instantly from Billy Madison, which is a movie in the 90s with Adam Sandler. One of, I honestly, I would probably say for at least 5 years, that was my favorite movie. Have you seen Billy Madison?
Nope.
Billy Madison is about a kid who's like, I think his dad is super rich. And so, and he always gets called an idiot or whatever. And he wants to go like, he always says going back to school. He's going back to school, but he starts like as a little kid. He only has like a 5th grade education or 3rd grade or something. So he like starts like in school and like goes up through high school or something. It's really weird. Like he's in the, like this grown man, Adam Sandler, is in a classroom with a bunch of other children, like 3rd graders. And then he like works his way up and like moves on to the next grades and stuff. It's something, it's been so many years since I've seen it, but it's pretty dang funny. And Bradley Whitford, I think, is like his dad's like assistant who's like trying to snake his way in to like be like, instead of like Billy Madison, Adam Sandler, getting the money like from his dad, Bradley Whitford is the snaky guy who's like trying to sneak in and be like, no, I want to run the company. Yeah. So like snakes in, and then they have like this big like academic decathlon, and it's Billy Madison versus Bradley Whitford. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty good movie. But he's super recognizable from that. And then also, like the hypnotherapist, he was on The West Wing for a really long time. So they were on that show together. So the hypnotherapist was like, that was like 3 episodes ago. Yeah. And this guy was also on The West Wing for 155 episodes.
Wait, what was The West Wing about?
The West Wing, well, it's like the White House. So they all work in the West Wing of the White House.
That is not what I had in my head.
I've never seen it.
I had like a theater in my head.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, we're waiting in the wings for you. The Hamilton line.
Oh,
and it's,
but that's all about the government. So
what?
But isn't Hamilton about like the government?
Yeah.
Yeah. The White
House.
House.
But the we're waiting in the wings for you is about like, this is going way off track, but you know the stage and you have the wings.
Oh.
You're like waiting on the wings for you. Yeah.
Oh.
There you
go.
Are
you sure that's what it's about?
Yeah, no, I swear.
Okay. All right, so that's Bradley Whitford. My last person is Mike Haggerty, and he is the garbage man. He is, anybody who watches Friends will recognize him. He's totally Mr. Trigger. He's the super, like, the guy who, like, gets the trash bin, like, unclogged. He changes the heaters and the light bulbs and all this stuff. And he's totally Mr. Trigger. There's, like, a whole episode. I would say his most prominent episode is when, you know, Joey and Chandler, right? Mm-hmm. And they have a chick and a duck that live in their apartment. And Joey, like, accidentally tells Trigger that they have a chick and a duck. And he gets him to, like, hot water because he's going to kick him out. And Trigger's like, okay, well, I won't kick you out if you teach me how to ballroom dance. And so him and Joey learn, like, Joey teaches him how to ballroom dance. You know the garbage man, right? In this episode? Okay, yeah. So, yeah, he teaches him how to ballroom dance, and it's really sweet. And then Joey's, like, walking around doing dance moves and stuff, and everyone's like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. Because he's, like, teaching him, like, in secret or something. It's funny. But, yeah, so that's Mr. Trigger, and I'm done with He's the Guy. Junk time. All right.
Welcome back to my favorite time and yours on the show where Kandyce today is eating the junk and I'm asking the questions. Mwahaha.
What questions do you have?
Your opinion on square tomatoes. What is your political view on square tomatoes?
It's smart. Mm-hmm. We talked about this with Tobette. She was showing us square watermelons.
Yeah, it was really weird.
She said it was because they were easier to pack. Mm-hmm. And we were like, that's kind of what they said, but what did I say was more so they would? She said it fits. Oh, no, because it fits 30% more. Mm-hmm. Not like it's easier to pack, like it's easier to stack on top of each other. You actually get more. Also, Tobette said that you could put fruit in a square box while it's growing, and that's what makes it square. Is that true?
It wouldn't be. She's right.
Read it.
The process is simple. Believe it or not, this is from the big white square on Google, so it must be true. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, you can grow your own square tomato from any seed you have lying around. You're not actually growing a genetically enhanced variety. You're really just manipulating the tomato during its growing process. The process is simple. You have to create a square plastic box for it to grow in. Boom. She was right.
That is wild.
But how come it's...
I've grown tomatoes before.
Yeah.
But they were really small. I don't think they'd ever get squared. You know, like, because we always have, like, ants. Mm-hmm. Or some type of critter gets them.
Critter. Critter.
That's what my Mimi says. Some critter got this one.
Critter.
I don't know what it is, though. It's a critter.
Okay, next question.
So if you can tell, I'm eating the rest of my BLT.
Here, I'll ask the question.
Noah's already done. I was going to ask, Noah, tell us how to make a good BLT.
Oh. So, first, you start off with the beet. You get the beacon started, right? So you put it on the grill, the stove, put your bacon in there, let it sit. Now, what you're going to want to do is move on to the lettuce and tomatoes, get those bad boys out, get that bread out, get the mayo out. Now, some people would like you to believe that mayo is gross on sandwiches to use instead of butter, but it is not. So what you're going to want to do is butter up those bread babies and stick them on the stovetop. So next you're going to want to, whenever the butter's done, whenever the bacon's done, take the bacon off. Whenever the butter's done, the butter, we don't even use butter. Whenever the bread and the mayo's done, take that off too. Next, this is really revolutionary here. You put the bread on the bottom, tomatoes, then the lettuce, and then the bacon, and then the bread on top. BLTs for you and your family to enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, so, you know we like our Joanna Gaines book, right? Mm-hmm, That's what we found the BLT recipe, right? So it's not just as simple as like bagel, lettuce, tomato. Yeah. Okay, the trick is the buttering of the bread, is the mayonnaise. But what is our secret ingredient? That's not secret because Joanna told us. But what do we have to make every time?
Love! The secret ingredient is love. And herb mayo. So with herb mayo, how do you even make herb mayo?
Herb mayo is so good. We make it every time.
So good.
Paprika, which makes it like orange. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it looks different. Yeah. It looks exciting. So it's got paprika, white ground pepper, lemon juice, I think salt, and then again the fresh dill. There might be something else, but I'll post a recipe, guys. If you make a BLT, which you should, because we're telling you to, I command you, make a BLT, make the herb mayo. Mm-hmm. You will actually thank me later.
You really will.
Okay. No, my other question was, have you been in a wheelchair before?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, right?
I've sat in a wheelchair, but I haven't been stuck to a wheelchair. I'm really lucky. I barely have gotten hurt. I haven't broken a bone yet. I hope not to. I plan on not breaking a bone. I'm jinxing myself right now, but
you are a little boy.
I'm a small boy who does responsible things.
Responsible or indoor activities. No, but we told y'all that Toby broke his leg during our live. Yeah. I think we mentioned it.
Did we?
I thought we did.
Schmoll Toby.
Yeah, because when he gave us the Cheetos, we were like, why are we getting broken leg Toby to deliver our food?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he broke his leg.
Yeah, it was...
But it's funny because we were actually that day that we did the live, we pushed him around the neighborhood in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And his wheelchair was so jank.
It's the worst.
It was so jank. And it was like... if you looked at one of the little tiny wheel on the front, it was like, and then so you would just be going along and it would just get stuck. But I was see, that's so dramatic. Toby doesn't need a wheelchair. I didn't need a wheelchair. It's just so much more comfortable than crutches. Mm-hmm. Crutches hurt your armpits so bad that it's if you can get somebody to lend you a wheelchair, which that's what we both did. Mm-hmm. It's and it's free, then yeah, just use a wheelchair. 'Cause then you can do more things oh, I can't walk. I can't go there at all because I can't walk on crutches for that long. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you get a wheelchair, just if you can do it, then just go ahead and do it. And so yeah, because I hurt my ankle twice when I was in high school. In my senior year, my coach let me borrow her wheelchair. I don't know why she had a wheelchair, but she let me borrow her wheelchair. And my memories from it were Toby having to push me around. We went trick-or-treating. And because it was Halloween, and so our friends went trick-or-treating. I'm not sure why we were doing this when we were seniors, but we were. And he pushed me all around the neighborhood.
Oh my
God. It was pretty nice of him. I will say that. That's one of my memories that pops back in to my head, and I'm like, Toby's not so bad.
Aww.
He pushed me around in a wheelchair. He was my Natalie. Fond memories, and drug time's been going on forever. So, let's move on to plot holes.
Welcome back to Kandyce's favorite time in the show, and not mine.
It is. Do you have any plot holes though?
I have one,
Okay.
and it is Monk offering Natalie a sandwich after eating it. He's like, because he can taste the symmetry, and he's you have to try this. It's so good. I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
Odd plot hole.
That's interesting. Okay, mine's actually about the square tomato. I can't lie. I did not come up with this. This again is in all the Monk groups. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves the square tomato, but in the episode Mr. Monk goes to the asylum, do you remember the very first scene where he gets put in the asylum because he goes to Trudy's old house?
Yeah.
And he starts trying to cook her like chicken cacciatore or something, which has tomatoes. The doctor, I think the murder Dr. Lancaster, he's like pointing out and he's saying, well, you obviously were making dinner for Trudy, right? Mm-hmm. Because you were making something with tomatoes and you're allergic to tomatoes. Yeah. Huge plot hole. Monk's supposed to be allergic to tomatoes and he straight up eats the square tomato.
No.
Yeah.
They can't let us have one good thing. Why, writers? Why?
I know.
That's a good one.
It is. Okay, this one's a Toby catch. I don't know how strong it is. It's a small one, but whenever he's hopping around on one leg and they're going into the guy's house or going to the guy's house that's not there, Monk's hopping around on one leg and he's like grabbing onto like the trees that are there to stay afloat. Yeah. And Toby's like, oh, he touched nature. And I was like, oh, he did touch nature. And he didn't ask for a wipe or anything. He was touching like the plants and then jumping. So it was a small one.
That's a good one. No,
okay, good. And then I have the guy. Okay, so voice actress lady meets the guy in the cemetery and he's like, I'm sorry I shot that cop. I had 2 strikes and I just couldn't go back. And I'm like, you had 2 strikes so you shot a police officer? Yeah. That's what you do with your 3rd strike? You shoot at a cop?
He didn't even announce that he was a cop, nor was he in cop uniform.
Oh, well, that's true. That kind of debunks my plot hole.
No.
But he just shot at... Oh!
That's
oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah.
He didn't know he was a cop.
He didn't know he was a cop?
What was he saying? He was like being stupid. Monk was like being stupid. He was like...
Oh, no. Oh, you're right.
He doesn't announce that he's a cop.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's like, oh, you're not in trouble. We just want the bike back. You're not... So I guess maybe he just assumed.
Oh, he's like, he says we won't press charges.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Okay, so my plot hole's better than I thought. Okay. Both times that Monk is like falling down, he didn't try to grab the wheels himself to stop from falling down. When we know he has touched the wheels before, because when he's rolling in, he's like, wipe. Yeah. And he does it again. Wipe.
Yeah.
Just again. Wipe. Okay, Mr. Monk, how about I just push you around? Jeez. So yeah, he didn't try to grab it either of the times he was going to fall. Okay, and then also another one was whenever it shows the whole garbage scene, the guy has the big dumpster or whatever, and he's lifting it up on his truck. It said Sloan on it.
Aw.
Yeah, I was like, hey, that's my name. So I took a picture. And
wow.
Well, it's on Toby's phone because his phone's better, but I took a picture. But anyway. And then my last thing was literally the whole, like, I didn't know what to call it. I put, like, the twistedness of this case. Okay, so follow me real quick. So, this isn't even a plot hole, but think about this. The fact that Natalie and Monk, why were they even at VegTech?
Oh, shoot. That could have been so easy to just give a reason.
They happened to be walking by this building.
Why?
Monk stepped on a snail. They happened to stop on that bench right there. Natalie happened to see the guy, then helped steal the bike. The only reason they walk into that building is because Dr. Bradley Whitford.
Dr. Bike is what I
like
to call him.
Dr. Bell? No, Dr. Barry. I keep wanting to say Dr. Bell. Or Dr. Bean, because his name is Dean Barry. So I'm like Dr. Bean. But anyway, so the only reason they walk in there is because Dr. Barry
gets his
bike stolen. So there's that. That's the only reason that Monk / Natalie has anything to do with this case. Mm-hmm. Natalie calls the captain and lieutenant there. Okay, then the police get involved, but then they don't because it's a stupid bike case. So then Natalie goes poking her nose into where Monk tells her not to go look for the bike, and then gets Monk shot inadvertently. So, like, all of these weird chain reactions start because they randomly walk by this building. So then Monk gets shot, and then...
No, randomly... It's all happens because there's a snail.
A snail?
If the guy fell off the bike and Monk was there, he'd been like, you just stole this bike. Monk's smart enough to realize that.
Oh.
He's like, bull cutters.
Oh, that's
You
true.
just stole this bike.
Oh, that's true.
Natalie's dumb.
Oh, dang.
The snail freaking got Monk shot twice. And they could have made it, like, about veg tech, too. Like...
Why can't you say veg tech without laughing?
It's just funny. Like... That's like naming your, like, Apple phone company or something like that.
What?
Like, vegetable tech. It's just like, the writers couldn't have come up with a better name for it. I just think that's kind of lazy. Veg tech.
I think also part of the joke, too, is they never said veg tech out loud. It's just, like, on their
that's
thing.
true.
So it's like, they work at veg tech? Like, you have to say it yourself so that it's funny. I don't know.
What was I? What'd you ask?
I have no clue. You said veg tech and Gil Gould again. I was like...
Oh, they could have been like, wow, Monk wants to see a square tomato or something. It could have been so easy to just cover it up.
I did, because for half a second I thought that. And I was like, no, he was surprised when he walked in there. That's not why he was there. But, all right.
It's like Monk is just attracted to these things.
Exactly, yeah. That's the whole point. You haven't seen the one that's about that either, so.
Really?
Yeah.
There's one about that? I'm excited.
Okay. Let's go on to...
How crazy was Monk this episode? Plus crazy.
God, there's so much dead air when you don't say it. It's just like... Anyway... Okay, I have a lot of out of 10s, so give me yours, and so I can say mine.
Out of 10, I want to change mine now. Out of 10 veg techs. That's my new one.
Out of 10 veg techs.
My first one was out of 10 karma things. Okay, because I'm thinking, I know what they're called. Karma chips, but like I'm thinking of karma coins because that's just a way better name for them. I don't know why they call them karma chips. That's dumb to me. Karma coins would have been way better. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's random. Okay,
Do you agree? Karma coins?
No.
That's way better.
What? Karma chips like in poker.
Yeah.
Like,
but like,
I have all the chips. That's a saying. I have all the coins. It's not a saying.
No, but it's like currency that way. Karma coins.
They're not trying to come up with an out of 10. They're trying to be normal people.
If karma coins was a thing, then that would be my out of 10. But since it's karma chips, it's veg techs.
Okay, I put out of 10 karma chips with guacamole. Okay, then I have, of course, out of 10 square tomatoes. Mm-hmm. Out of 10 gold baskets. Out of 10 bike bells. And out of 10 former cop shooters. Oh, but I like karma chips with guac. That's good.
Guac. Okay, go ahead. What are the crazy moments, Kandyce?
Okay, Monk in the first scene. I heard a smoosh and then a pop. What is it? I totally got what he stepped on.
Like a snail.
Yeah, he smoosh and then a pop. Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah.
Okay, he asks for a wipe after every single time he rolls. Mm-hmm. He actually does the hand thing, his like Zen hand thing while he's in the chair. And Natalie's turning him. Remember, did you see that part? No?
No, I don't know.
She's turning him, and he's like, no. She's like, why don't you just turn your neck? And he's like, it has to be done this way. She has to turn the chair when he wants to do this.
The graveyard?
Yes, in the cemetery. Yeah,
I wasn't paying attention to that part, but okay. I know what you're talking about.
He commands Natalie. Mm-hmm. Square tomato. He can taste the symmetry. Virtually eliminates indigestion. His legs don't match. He gets 100 stitches. Which actually wasn't even him.
It was Natalie,
but obviously because he would like 100 stitches. 100 daisies he can watch die. And they could do the same for him.
That was so funny. He's like, oh my gosh, that way I can watch them die. And they can do the same to me.
It's so sad. Natalie is rolling him around the cemetery. And she's like, oh my gosh, like going over people's graves. And she's like, sorry, Mrs. Corinne. And he's like, oh, what? Did you get her shot too?
I remember that.
When they're in the cemetery, he's like, just throw the dirt on me now, get it over with.
Oh, yeah,
he's on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, at the very beginning, he gets her real good. Remember, she rolls him into the wall, and then she's like, nope, we're gonna go over here. And then he's just like sitting there, and she's talking about payday, and he's like, oh, I forgot it was payday. And she was like, no, I wasn't saying that because it's payday. And he was like, oh, I would pay you, but I can't seem to reach my checkbook.
It's always
on the
there.
he wants to do everything himself and also nothing himself. The guy, it's super random again, where the doctor's like, I'm gonna donate 10 acres of a Brazilian rainforest in your name or something. He's like, do I have to visit it or water it? He's like, no. And he's like, okay, thanks.
He's like, visit it or water it or think about it.
Think about it. Oh gosh, I'm sure I missed some, but I do have one more thing that I really liked. They're going up to the Mountain View Deli, then they're going back down to the Valley Pharmacy, and then they're going back up to the Hilltop Cleaners. And she's like, Mr. Monk, is there any way that we could do the Hilltop and the mountain thing at the same time so that we don't have to go back up? And he's like, Natalie has to be done this way or something. He says something stupid. And she drops a thing on the groceries, and he's like, Natalie, come on. It's so mean. And then she starts crying. And he's sitting there with his water bottle with his straw. He's sitting with
the umbrella. He's so mean.
Oh man, it's so funny. All right. Out of 10 veg techs, what do you got?
You can go first.
Okay, out of 10 Karma chips with guacamole, I gave him an 8.
You gave him an 8?
Yeah.
I gave him a 9.
Okay, similar.
He was very crazy, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Just the entire episode, nothing but annoyingness. Like, yeah, sure, it was Natalie's fault, kind of, but it really wasn't.
I put crazy how over-exaggeratory that he was being to her.
Yeah.
That's what I put.
Yeah.
But then I took off more than 1 point. I took off 2 points because he got shot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Are you ready, Candace?
I am. Red soda.
Okay, ready? Rate this episode.
All right, I definitely want you to go first.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I want you to go first.
No!
Yes, I was thinking about it. I thought, how fun would it be if, because I watched the episode and I'm not influenced by what you have to say. But I was thinking, like, I should make the decision right then and there based on, like, what you've said and what I've said and what I thought about the episode said. So I thought, instead of doing my rate this episode, whenever I watch the episode, I can do it whenever we talk about it and dissect things. Because I don't know all the little plot holes.
Wait, but then how do I not influence you, but you wait until after I'm done talking?
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Fine.
No, well, just explain to me how that makes sense. I don't influence you yet. You wait for me to be finished talking so that you can make your decision. Tell me what you mean.
I want to be influenced by you.
I'm not influenced by you, but I want to be.
Yeah, I just did. Okay. Because...
Is it getting too hard to rate this season?
Yeah.
We're getting to our 11th episode, and I keep, every single time I go, okay, what did I rate this one? Compared to this one, compared to this one, compared to this one, compared to this one.
See,
okay,
that's why yours is good.
Okay, so you want
And mine's crappy!
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh, the boxing episode was like an 11, but it sucked compared to this. So I don't know what to rate it. I'll just go with the 10, okay? This one was actually really good and probably did deserve a 10, so I won't be surprised if you give it a 10. Thank you.
Okay. Since your explanation was that I am so good, that you want to be influenced by me, I will go first. All right.
Not what I said, for the record.
I'll cut that out. One of my top faves of this season so far, I think I put parentheses. I think I might like the episodes where the assistants are at odds with Monk. I think I might like those. But anyhow,
Uh-huh.
I love Hurt Monk, Guilty Natalie, Wise Stoddy, Golden Randy. This honestly, to me, felt like an old school Monk. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. It had like a classic mystery. We did not know. We were both clueless. Classic mystery. Classic like clues. Oh, it was the bike lock. All the things. All these misdirects. Oh, it was him. No, it was him. It was her. I thought it was a fantastic episode. So I am going with a 10.95. I honestly did not think that I was going to rate this episode this high. I don't remember, but like I said, I already said I didn't remember it that well. Mm-hmm. I remember, this is funny. The memories that I have are of people on Monk groups saying how much they were annoyed by Monk. And so I was thinking like, oh gosh, it's going to be like, he's just mistreating Natalie the whole time. This isn't going to be a fun one. He's just going to get shot. I remembered that he got shot. I did not remember that he got shot twice.
That was so messed up.
I did not remember that the assistant was the killer. I thought it was the doctor for sure. I remembered the bike, but I didn't remember the bike lock or the code or anything. Not even when he was like, I have to remember two digits, like 8 digits. I don't want to do this twice. Still didn't remember. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I'm dumb.
That was a really big hint.
That was a big hint, and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think that a lock had 8 digits on it on a bicycle. So I wouldn't even put that together. Like, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I didn't think I was going to rate this one this high. But it was very good. It was very funny. And Monk got shot, so it had that, like, edge of suspense. In the very first like, few minutes, when you're like, oh my gosh, he's got shot! Like, he's shot, and they're looking for his, like, shooter? I don't know. It was good. Yeah. It was really good. So.
Oh, jeez. I have so many mixed feelings. Not even mixed feelings. It's not even like, it's bad, but it's good. It's like it was a good episode. It was a good, solid episode, but I just don't know how good. You know what?
Well, tell us. Well, this is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can't just say your answer. You have to tell us what you're thinking. Think out loud. So, where are you thinking like, I feel like it's better than this episode, but not as good as this episode? Is it lying in between anything?
Oh,
or is it
I'm
like...
not that smart. Okay, wait. Last episode, that was a good one. What was it? No, that was not the good one I was talking about. What was the good one?
Yeah, Other Brother, The Miracle.
Oh, Other Brother
Hypnotized.
Was good. This was better than Other Brother. And Other Brother was a 9. You know what? I'm going to 10, Kandyce. I'm going to 10. This is like, is this the best season, the best rating we've had so far?
I don't know. I think it would be the same rating as the 100th Case, because I rated that one a 10 and you rated that one a 9.5. So if I went 9.5 and you went 10, this would be...
No, I didn't. I rated an 8.
We got you up to a 9.5 in front of all the live people.
Yeah, did we bargain or something?
Yeah.
Frick, of course I bargained. Frick!
It's okay, we're influenced by my charm. And my brains.
I'll give it a 10.2.
Whoa!
That way it beats the 100.
You can't give it a 10.2. That's a 2.
What? Sorry, I stole your thing. Like 10.22.
You can't give it you can't make it beat the 100 Case. You can't do that.
Why not?
You can't give it a higher rating.
That's literally what I did.
Yeah,
I just did.
You did that on the season finale of season 6. That's like arguably like one of the best episodes ever. So I allowed you to do 11. You can't just go over a 10 to make my score better.
Okay.
I rated mine pretty good. If you want to give it a 10, then give it a 10. But don't just give it out numbers because you want it to be higher. That's not right.
What do I do? What can I do to make
Do you actually think that it was a perfect episode?
Do
you actually think that it deserves an actual 10?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Okay, then why don't you give it a 10?
I want to give it a 10, but I want to give it a 10.2
You can't give it a higher than a 10. That's not...
That's what you literally do every episode, so please.
What are you talking...
Shut up.
Give it...
That's what you do.
Oh,
what are you talking about? You're so dumb.
I am, but you're also being dumb.
Oh my gosh.
I don't understand how it's that hard. If you want it to rank high, it has to rank the same. That's the maximum. I'm at 9.5. Mm-hmm. If you want it to rank higher, You can do a 10. You can't do a higher than a 10.
Oh my gosh. I'm so conflicted.
What do you mean? How are you so conflicted?
10.10.
2 10s. He's
No.
giving it 2
No,
10s.
no,
Okay.
no. As in a
10.1. So 1 out of 10.
No.
Noah, you can't score it higher than a 10. Because
Okay,
the only reason that
okay,
you're
okay.
doing that...
Why do you give it a minus 0.5? What's your deal on that? I'll just try and convince you to raise your score. To raise your score if I can raise mine.
What? I'm not going to do that.
Why not? Kandyce, I'm a very persuasive guy. Come on. Why did you rate it minus 0.5? I'll debunk it.
Minus 0.5, so I kind of compared it to the Lotto Fever, which I like Lotto Fever better than this episode. So Lotto Fever was like, for me, it was like a 9.75, so I went lower than that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you that
this was better than Lotto Fever?
That the lottery is rigged?
No.
Fine! I'll deal with it. They're the same episode ranking. Don't we, whenever it comes down to it, don't we just choose which one's better?
Yeah. And I'm going to fight for the 100th case.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you can't argue that the 100th case, the In Focus episode, was not good.
That was not as good as this. Nowhere near as good as this.
Wow.
This one was so, like, simple yet so good.
I feel like it was very classic-y. Like, I feel like Sharona could have easily fit into that that episode, and that would have been... I don't know why I'm bringing that up. I'm just saying.
I don't know either. Where were we?
I'm just... Because you won't choose. Did you already choose a 10? Or what?
Yeah.
All right. So, I chose 9.5, and Noah... we ripped some teeth out, but we got him to say 10, I think. Good? A 10?
Yeah.
He's literally depressed because it's lower than the 100th case. You're bringing the monk down, man. You're bringing the monk down.
So bad. It was the worst monk episode I've ever seen.
You're gonna make everyone think you're a liar. They're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, the live was so fun on Instagram," and you're so like, dumb. "Yeah, I hated it though."
I hate all of our viewers. I hate all of Monk. I hate everything and everyone. And that's how this episode's gonna end. End it. Click the stop recording.
Alright, guys. Noah is having a mental breakdown. So, he chose a 10. I chose a 9.5. And you'll see how that pans out in our season wrap-up. So, we'll see you next time for episode 12, which we don't know what it is. But, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Give Noah a kiss. He needs some cheering up. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Junk Monk Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so please give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, follow us at Junk Monk Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
If you want to know more about Kandyce, she's at Hardens and Hardhats on Instagram. And if you want to know more about me, Noah L., subscribe to my vlog, Noah Hernandez, on YouTube. Also, you can leave us a voicemail at 323-366-0477 with your questions, comments, or just to show us some love.
Don't forget to catch up on Monk with Amazon Prime Video, and of course, subscribe to our show.
You'll thank me later.